My guest is Commissioner of Agriculture Adam Putnam. And, when I first heard about Florida's citrus crop under the threat of this zombie apocalypse known as greening, citrus greening, it was hard not to imagine Florida's orange groves just going away. And this was several years ago. And just last week, a grower in Vinodisassa told the Tampa Tribune that it's running rampant in his groves, hundreds of acres just dead. Where are we in the fight against citrus greening?
This is as bad a situation as it could possibly be for Florida's signature crop. Citrus greening, which is a bacterial disease carried by an insect from tree to tree. The bug can fly 1.5 miles a day. Who knows how many times they're landing and spreading this disease. Greening is now in every citrus-producing county in Florida. We're way past a 50% infection rate. It's now in California, it's in Texas, it's in all the citrus-producing areas of the world. And there is no known cure. The treatments that are being used by growers are very expensive, and if prices of juice were to fall, they would not be economic. I mean, really, only the fact that growers are getting higher returns are they able to afford these dramatically higher production costs. And whenever that falls out of equilibrium, you're going to see real challenges. This is an industry that's a $9 billion economic engine. It occupies a footprint of nearly 500,000 acres in Florida, and there's just not really a good plan B if all that went away. So the loss of the state citrus industry is important to every Floridian, not just citrus growers and not just people who enjoy a glass of Florida orange juice every morning.
So what I'm hearing right now is that you don't know what's going on with it. I mean, there's no hope at this point of conquering citrus greening, so it's going to get worse?
Well, I wouldn't say that there's no hope. The growers have invested over $65 million in research funds. The state contributed $9.5 million last year. They're asking, the state will be asked to contribute another $9 million in research this year. The feds are supporting this, the university system. There's a lot of work being done to identify ways to treat it, solve it, cure it as sort of a short-term, medium-term, long-term solution. But as of this moment, there is not that silver bullet. And so you've got growers all over the state trying different things to manage their groves and get the right mix of nutritionals to those trees so that they can fight off the infection or live with the infection a little bit longer. But this is a huge challenge. There has been some progress made. We continue to learn an awful lot about the disease, and but as of this moment, we can't say that we've won this war.
Takes a lot of money, and I understand Senator Nelson is trying to secure federal money in the fight, and even surprisingly, Brazil, our competitor, they're willing to help us address this problem.
Well, Brazil has the disease as well, and if the global citrus industry is going to maintain market share, it's in Brazil's interest and Florida's interest and California's interest to join hands, and that's what's happened. We're all moving forward shoulder to shoulder to defeat this disease, and I look forward to the day when we go back to being competitors again, because that means that we will have resolved the most important threat that any of us have ever faced.
So move over medflies, canker, and winter freezes. It's tough to be an orange in Florida these days, it sounds like.
It is indeed.
Now, Florida's citrus industry depends on workers, and I do not think I'm going out on a limb here to suggest that some of them are not here legally. What are your hopes as Congress debates immigration reform? Most conservative members of your party would not accept any sort of amnesty program, so where are you on this?
Well, the bulk of the workers who participate in ag labor aren't interested in citizenship. Many of them come over here for the season, for that short window of time when strawberries or tomatoes or citrus are in production, and then they want to return home with a lot of money in their pocket and make a better life for their families in their home areas. The United States needs a smart, modern immigration policy. It's as important to a nuclear engineering student at USF, where we have a broken immigration policy that will hand that graduate a diploma and then kick them out of the country, as opposed to having the brightest and the best from around the world build their futures here in the United States. And it's important to industries like tourism, agriculture, construction, sod, roofing, you name it. We need to have a smart, flexible immigration policy that recognizes the needs. A state like Florida, where the bulk of investment in Southeast Florida, the reason why the Miami condo market is back when 5 years ago they had a 20-year glut, is because of Venezuelan investment, Brazilian investment, a host of other Central and South American countries that are uncertain about their own country's future, and they believe that Florida is the financial capital, the safe haven for their families' investments in this hemisphere. So Florida stands to gain or lose the most from Congress's outcome on the immigration debate.
Do you buy the argument that some will say if we're not giving illegal immigrants a pass, letting them stay, that our crops will rot in the fields, our citrus will rot on the tree?
The agricultural labor force is overwhelmingly foreign. And if there is not access to a stable, legal workforce, predominantly made up of guest workers who are here for a defined period of time for a defined purpose, then you will see the continued migration of agriculture away from Florida, away from the United States, and you'll be as dependent on Central and South America for your fruits and vegetables as you are on the Middle East for your fuel.
Being a farmer is tough work. I know you know that. It's hard to know from year to year whether you're going to make money, lose money. What about family farms in Florida? You know, many are selling their land now. They're just getting out of the business, selling it to developers or whatever. And in this age of mega farms, where do smaller family farms fit in? And more importantly, how do you convince farmers to stick it out and stay with it?
Well, there's some good news on that front. The biggest growth on the agricultural front in Florida has been at the small farm level. Many of them are not full-time farmers. But you're seeing a renewed interest in the land. You're seeing an explosion of interest in people returning to the land. The local food movement is driving that. And we're fortunate in Florida that we produce 300 different things. We do it in the wintertime when very few other people can do it. And we have world-class restaurants that are seeking out that connection to the land so they can put on their menu the name of the farm that their lettuce and their carrots and their sweet corn and their tomatoes are coming from, their blueberries, their citrus. And so we have a lot going for us in that regard, and you're seeing the next generation that has a level of interest in the land that did not exist in the past. I hope that that's more than a fad. We live in a world that has to feed 7 billion people. We have to feed 9 billion people by 2050. And it's only going to be done through productivity in agriculture, or we're going to have massive global conflicts over resources.
Your family's been farming and ranching for 5 generations in Bartow. Is there still an active Putnam farm? Are you still getting your hands dirty?
Well, there's still very much an active farm, and the next generation is coming into it. My nephew just graduated from Clemson University with an agricultural degree. He's now in the business. My sister's out there every day. My brother's out there every day. My parents have spent their lives in it. My brothers and sister will be happy to tell you that my hands don't stay as nearly as dirty as theirs do as Commissioner of Agriculture running around. But it is something that's very important to me. I'm out there as often as I can. I make sure that my children are out there. The family business, the family farm, and an attachment to the land, I think, is part of who we are as a nation. I mean, we're a nation born out of an abundance of space that drew people here to find a new life and to spread out, whether it was the swamps of Florida or the plains of the Midwest. And that's part of what makes my job so special, is getting to spend a lot of time working with those multi-generational Florida families who do keep that connection to the land.
Florida Commissioner of Agriculture Adam Putnam, a Florida Matters newsmaker, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.